Hi, my name is Malin Johnson. I'm from Republic County High School, and today we will be discussing the financial statement analysis for the Target Corporation for the year ended February 3rd of 2024. First, we are going to be discussing the consolidated statements of financial position. Everything here will be in millions unless otherwise specified. First, let's look at cash. There was a 70.7% increase in cash between 2023 to 2024, indicating that the company is in good standing with their cash intake. This checks out when we consider the inventory and its decrease 11.9% from the last year into this year. Now, you may be wondering why the inventory decreased. Target uses the LIFO system, which means that the last in goes the first out. This means that they can really streamline seasonality and consumer preference and adapt to what the consumers are buying in the moment. Now, the decrease in inventory is good for the company because it means that they have been more accurate, and this was stated in the Target's financial report for the year. They have stated that they have been much more accurate and are very happy to see the inventory decrease. Moving on to property and equipment, they have increased 5% from the last year to this year, and this makes sense because Target also added a lot of new buildings into their corporation. They have 21 new facilities, and so of course they would have to have more property. The expansion would just require that. The long-term debt has decreased, which is again another positive thing, 6.8% from the long-term debt. You don't want other corporations to own you. You want to be very independent, especially if it's negative debt, and so that's good to see. The total assets for Target have increased 3.8%. Again, when we consider Target's expansion, that makes absolute sense. Now, the only concerning thing on this sheet is the current ratio, which decreased 1.1% and is currently sitting at an 0.91. Now, this is very concerning because you want your current ratio to be at a 1 minimum. You don't want to be under that. This is assets to liabilities, and this means that if Target had to pay off all of their liabilities right now, they would be unable to do so because they don't have the assets for it. So the one thing that Target needs to do is have more assets, but in their financial report, they did say they weren't really concerned about it because their assets are so streamlined, as we saw in inventory. But the concerning thing there is that buildings and property are still assets, and we don't want those to be taken away. Moving on to the consolidated statements of operations. The sales decreased 1.7%, and the cost of sales also decreased 5.5%. So just in general, Target isn't selling as much, and they're not putting as much money into selling, which is kind of concerning for a business that functions purely off of sales. You need to be selling stuff to make money. So where did that money go? It went into selling general and administrative expenses, which increased 4.3%, which averages out here. So 4.3% more money is going into the background rather than the actual selling process. Now, operating income increased 48.3%, and net earnings also increased 48.8%. Very similar numbers. This shows that the company is still intaking money, and they still have money to work with, even though it's not where we might want it to be allocated to in these areas. Moving on to the consolidated statements of cash flows. First, we'll look at cash provided by operating activities. This has increased 114.6% from the last year to this one. So overall, they're still intaking a lot of money, and this makes sense because it's Target, which is a very large corporation, and they're going to be intaking money, but it would still be nice to see a larger increase. Of course, when you're a corporation, you want that profit. Next is our cash required for investing activities, which increased 13.5%. They're still in the negatives with this right now, but they are now less negative this year. So this means that they put less money into investing, but still got more money back in income from the investments, which is very good to see. Next is our cash required for financing activities. This is just all of the cash that is flowing around the company that makes Target function. This is what they need to still be in business. And this has decreased 4.1%, which is very concerning because to have a business, you need to have the money to be able to make it work. So they need to really find cash to put into the business and maybe choose more wisely where they're allocating some of that cash so they can still function properly. Finally, we have the consolidated statement of stockholders' investment. In 2023, dividends per share cost $3.99, where in 2024, they are $4.36, which is a 9.3% increase. Now, Target has not missed a quarter of dividends since they have opened their corporation, but maybe this is where some of that money that could be allocated to other things is going. My suggestion for Target is to decrease the amount of money being put into dividends and to increase the amount of money being put into cost of sales and to focus on selling that product, because we want to have more money so that we can purchase more assets and overall be a more healthy company. Thank you for listening to the financial statement.